chips float and they stack on each other.
Yeah.
And when you got a bunch of stacked chips, you can't get anything to grow in between them. But when you spread this on the ground, you've got, you know, exposure to the soil. You've got grass can grow. The whole point of erosion control is to get vegetation established a lot of times. If you have something that's going to inhibit your growth, I was going to bring one, but erosion blanket. We don't use those so much. And they have their place, but erosion blanket, I've seen inhibit grass growth. And that's not what you want. You want to try to get the grass to grow. We have other techniques that are better than erosion blankets and more adaptable. Now, on a nice smooth baby smooth slope, on a cut slope in town, you can get like a blanket, erosion blankets to work. Plus you get water, especially in Oregon and Washington, they're very effective there. But you have a wetter climate, you don't have to worry about the revegetation effort so much. Out in the South Fork of the Salmon, not so much. So, and I'll show you some of the results of early experience with erosion blankets that were a complete failure because over-engineered, you know, basically. Keep it simple. This has always been my model, and it really does make a difference in success. This is amazing stuff. We have to be, again, cost prohibitive in some places. It's very expensive. So what we do to make it go further, we generally mix it with some ag straw. Now, ag straw has a wheat component that we try not to use. But we have a big area that really needs erosion control. A lot of times we'll get certified wheat-free straw, quasi.
As close as they can get.
Yeah, as close as they can get. Weeds, we'll talk a little bit about that too, I guess. But wheat-free straw is not certified against cheatgrass. Cheatgrass is a weed, but that's not on the noxious weed list. So whatever straw you get, yeah. So with that said, a lot of the straw fields we get are pretty clean straw fields, and I've got a pretty reliable source of weed-free straw. And he can get, you know, truckloads and truckloads of it. He usually supplies all the big fires and everything. So we have a good quality straw, and when you do get weed-free straw, make sure you got the weed-free certification. Right now they're using a blue and yellow baling wire, baling twine. So it's blue and yellow, it's color coded, they can only get from the seed certifier. So if they certify their field, he'll supply that blue and yellow band for the straw. You guys know about that. So now the other way they do it is individual tags per bale, but that's a real pain to do. So they have the baling twine is our seed certified. That's how you know. So if I go out in the woods, especially on federal lands, and I see a bale of straw, it doesn't have any kind of tag on it or that band on it, that's illegal straw to have. I've gone to contracts and our own engineers and say, look, you got to tell your contractor to get that straw out of here, because not only it's against the state law to have, you know, non-weed-free straw out of there. And so I think he told me it was weed-free, but hey, where's the certification? You got to have it. Yeah. And so it's illegal to use anything on public land, anything but weed-free.
Is that the same as bringing your horse trailer over without weed-free straw?
Yeah, horse trailers, you know, going into wilderness, there's places they actually require quarantine for at least 24 hours to get the horse cleaned out, you know, actually feed them in a corral, you know, to quarantine the horse. They were really that serious about, I think some of the wilderness areas are that serious about weed free.
And if you go up in them and see all the toad flags at every campsite, you understand why.
Yeah, absolutely. This wood straw is amazing stuff. We have I'll show you different ways we apply it. This is a 40-pound bale, but it comes in a 600-pound bale. Wow. And we use a lot of those too. But you can't just pick that up.
No.
What we can do is 2 strong people to roll it over. We can roll it off a trailer. That's about all we can do. But they're pretty cool. They're pretty cool. But still, our magic ingredient, biosol. We've been using it ever since I've got it. The Bitter Native Growers back in the 80s. That's when I first got exposed to it and said, "Wow, what's this stuff?" You know, and it really makes, you know, a recipe work.
Tell me again where you buy it. I didn't get that.
Okay, so Legacy Seeds is one supplier. He's basically got the market in Boise. There's a place in Spokane that will also sell it. Now they will sell it to, you know, the supply stores like D&B or something like that occasionally, so you can find out where they're at. But Legacy is a really good place, and they do a lot of our seed mixes for us. We also have a seed mix. I thought it was in here, but oh yeah, here we go. There's a lot. We could talk all day about how to put a mix together, but this is I wanted to show you what a native mix looks like. It's pretty diverse, and we have a strategy for seed. So there's our mix, and I was going to go over a seed tag. It's important to understand what seed tags talk about. So if you look at that, there's a lot of weird diversity in there. You see that green wheat, that green tinted wheat?
Yeah.
That's actually a sterile wheatgrass. So, excuse me, Triticale.
Triticale.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Triticale. That's it. Can't pronounce where the name is, but that's a sterile wheatgrass. We're using it as a cover crop. So
as a what?
Cover crop.
Okay.
We were requested to do that. I didn't have it in the beginning because it wasn't, you know, we didn't think it was necessary. But we have places on the west side that are pretty weedy, and so we need something that big and robust to grow and kind of get some erosion control, but also, you know, cover and get some nutrient recycling going too. So the cover crop seems to work. It's designed to not last. A big plant can be mature and 2 to 3 years and then die out. It doesn't propagate so much. Now the stuff you can't see, there's barely microscopic, almost like stuff, dust.
Yeah.
That could be your Western Yarrow seed.
Yeah, like on your finger there.
Yeah, I mean, well, even smaller, yeah. But you can see how the diversity of mixes, you know, the taller slender grass stuff it could be slender grass, it could be blue bunch wheatgrass. Depends on what's in our mix here. But we're looking for diversity in our mix.
And there's a black.
The reason why is because
Is the black seed there? Is that?
that is
flax?
Probably the blue flax.
Yeah,
I believe it is. Yeah, that's probably the black one is the hairy vetch.
the black pellet.
The black pellets and the hairy vetch, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, so stuff you
looks
can
like
identify. There's also probably Idaho fescue in here too.
Do these seeds have to, when you mulch and all that stuff then, is that the next step? Or just
So-
sometimes you just leave the seeds sitting there?
Depends on what we have time for.
Yeah.
You know, it really comes down to practicality. If we're doing a parking lot like here, I mean, you know, we're covering this up.
Yeah.
You know, depends on what kind of tools you have and the timing you have and the project. So, you know, it'd be great to herald some seed in.
Yeah.
But can't always do that.
Will it work just by throwing
Broadcast seeding, absolutely.
It works okay.
Now, compensate a little bit with your application rate.
Yeah.
So seeds per pure live seeds per square foot.
Yeah.
If you know that you can't work a seed in, maybe add more pure live seeds per square foot.
If we wanted to get that seed mix, could you go to that legacy seed and say, I want the Payette seed mix?
He's going to have about 10 of them. So I'd probably, well, at least 5 of them, you know.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
well, you can all come and ask me. This mix, we have the sterile wheatgrass, we have the hairy vetch, which is only non-native grass that's in there, or species in here.
Huh.
Okay, so it's a non-native, but we have it in there for design reasons.
Right.
And we wouldn't put it everywhere. Then we get into the slender wheatgrass, the blue bunch wheatgrass, and the sandberg wheatgrass. So the blue, it says bluegrass sandberg, is Poa smithii, which I think it changed. It's a drier bluegrass that's native. And then we have Idaho fescue, blue flax, and Western yarrow. Now, Western yarrow will grow anywhere, anytime, everywhere. If you can't get Western yarrow to grow, you're doing something really wrong. Let's put it that way.
And do remember,
You've got some big problems.
If you put it in your garden,
Yeah.
you'll be pulling it for the rest of your
Yeah,
life.
it can come like carpet, and the reason why it's like carpet
it'll
is
do
if you
same
get a
thing to your
decimal
lawn.
point wrong with that, you've got a big problem. Because remember, it's 2.7 million seeds per pound. Don't get a decimal point wrong. I've done that once, and it's grim. Really, it's like a whole seed line. This is nothing but carpet of yarrow. So
Pretty though.
the other thing you
Pretty
see on this
dough.
mix, and I'll point these out, and I had some handouts for them too, just to show you. But you see, it says. This one says Washington, Oregon, Canada, Washington, Washington, Oregon, Canada, Washington, Washington. Mostly Washington stuff. It's kind of unfortunate. We'd like to get Idaho stuff, and a lot of my mixes actually have a lot of Idaho seed mixes, and so so you can get like Idaho Fescue is a real good one to get from Idaho. We request, as close as possible. At least it's not saying, California. It's not saying Nevada. It's not saying,
Colorado
New
or
Zealand.
something.
A lot of Western Yarrow is grown in New Zealand,
Huh.
and so we don't want a New Zealand
Yeah.
species up here. I mean, basically genetics up here. So you can request your seed to be as local as possible.
Huh.
So at least those are adjacent states.
And then it's also good to try to get it at the same elevation.
Yeah, mostly I really shoot elevation zones from with our shrub components. The shrub stock is more site specific than even the seed stock. So the shrubs are important to try to get your elevation zones right. And some shrubs are more sensitive than others. So for instance, syringa or state flower, it's a big tall shrub, right? It's called the state flower for some reason. Philadelphia Wissii or mock orange, same species. I can never find that much more than over 4,500 feet, and it's always lower than that. And so it's very elevational sensitive. I can't go up in 5,000 feet on the South Fork and plant that. There's some ribes.
Grow here.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you can't really grow it here in town. But there's some great places down in Council District that are awesome.
Yeah.
And so you really have to kind of cone in on your species and their elevation zones. You kind of study where they're at and where you're using it. So stibnite has a really interesting zone there. I mean, it's 7,000 feet in a lot of places, and you can't just get anything to grow there. What we've done was, the most successful thing we've done is go down the East Fork, right there, just barely downstream of stibnite, and cut willows. And we didn't care what species of willows it was, as long as it was a sprouter. There's Drummonds, there's Exigua, there's all kinds of different willows. We have well over 40 species of willows in the state.
Wow.
But we got the ones that we knew would sprout. We cut, mass quantities of that stuff and had it propagated in 1 year, and we went out and planted it, and everything was successful. But I can't get the willows from council and bring it to stibnite. They just won't be, it's just not appropriate. So those are the kind of things we look at. There's more to talk about the seed tag. We probably best to do it inside, and I can give you some handouts. Like I said, it gets real technical, but you can keep it simple. I can show you ways to keep it simple. But if you do want to put a design mix together, I suggest really doing homework, and especially if you get some investment involved into it, because seed can be expensive. In our line of work, I think it's one of our least expensive things we do. The biosol on this can add up a lot faster than the seed mix. And so you try to keep the seed mix, we could do anywhere from up to, well, it depends, but, $80 an acre. Oh, no, actually $40 an acre, $80 a bag. So I designed, here's another trick we've learned over the years, is that this bag is not a huge bag, and we had a design mix, and kind of go over this inside too again, but bulk quantity was 25 pounds. That's bulk quantity. That's not pure live seed. So we had a 25-pound bag, and usually you can 50-pound bag, right? I mean, make a nice round. But we got this quantity bag because this is designed as a 1 acre bag. We're talking about pounds per acre. Well, we had our specific mix. I figured out the pure live seeds per square foot. It just so happens that it's 25 pounds. And so I had them bag in a 1 acre bag. I didn't want a 2 acre bag. I wanted a 1 acre bag. That way I can tell somebody that, hey, I want 50 seed square pounds. Here's your bag. There's your acre. Get it evenly. And so it's that simple. It's keeping it simple. So they can figure out that this bag has to go over this parking lot and evenly. And that's the only way you get your application right. And especially, someone out there with one of these. And so that's kind of how we do things. Now, on a linear road, I happen to know if it's 25 feet long and the road's 1 mile long, that we've got exactly 3 acres in 1 mile. And so I'll look at an average width of the road prison and say if it's 30 feet. You can easily calculate how many acres in a mile. We know our distances, linear distances. We know our average width. We can figure, okay, you're going to need a bag and a half of seed for this area. And that's how we calculate and get our application right down. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of smart to do it. But if they send you in a 50-pound bulk bag, it throws everything off, you know? I've sent seed back because I very, very specifically say, hey, I need a 1 acre bag, bagged in 1 acre bag. Salesman said, no problem. They came in a 50-acre bag, and I said, unacceptable. Can't, you know, it doesn't work for us. And they had to come and get their seed and bring it in another bag. So anyway, nice to get some sunlight.
Good idea.
Let's see some more pictures. Oh, one more thing I'll show you. This is kind of a cool thing that someone made. Probably seen these before? Ever used them? This is really good for seed collection.
Oh.
You know, it's pretty cool. And we've used them, especially on a plant like bitterbrush. You know, bitterbrush is a really unique plant. There's only a very small window of the bitterbrush that you can get bitterbrush seed from. And, you know, it's like sometime in July for about 2 days. And you better be monitoring your seed mix to see if it's ripeness. And the way you tell if it's ripe to ready to be harvested is that you just kind of flick the plant a little bit, and the seed falls off. It's ripe.
Yeah.
And so it could be unripe for a long, long time, and all of a sudden it's ripe for 2 days, and a big windstorm comes by, and you've lost all your seed. One way to do it is I've seen people spread tarps on the bottom of the base of the plant to kind of collect the seed as it falls. That's one way to do it. Or you come in here and just shake the bush right into your hopper, and then you get tons of chaff. And one thing that's really interesting is the stuff is just moving with all the little bugs and gnats and stuff. It's real buggy, but hey, it's great seed stuff. So these are just, you know, little things, tools in the trade. They're fun. This is easy to get.
Very cool.
Really easy to make. Yeah. All right. Cool. Break time over? Yeah.